camera. This is our set. We're going to be here for the next 4 hours, live for you here in Houston, because tonight is the big game.
Now, here's what's different than the last 2 days we've been here. We're not wearing great big coats like we're in Nome, Alaska, because right now it's absolutely a tropical, let's say. The humidity a little high. It's 70 degrees, unlike yesterday when it was in the 30s.
Would you rather it be humid and hot, or
yes.
would you rather it be cold?
Humid and hot.
Right.
H&H.
You?
I am a little angry. Because
Why?
today is the day I remembered to bring my coat. And I don't need my coat. I'm always just a day off.
That's Where were we last and you forgot your coat and it was so cold and your coat was in the hotel room?
Yes, I never got it back. We've been so many trips
so
on the road
lately.
and now we're also going to be going on the road again in a couple of weeks. But first things first, let's talk about the Seahawks. Let's go inside the numbers with the Patriots. Not quite yet. We do have to tell you what happened overnight, and it happened with the court system, and it's not making Donald Trump happy.
That's right. Remember a couple of days ago that a judge out in Washington State said to the Trump administration, this is a Fox News alert, said, you know what, that travel ban is illegal. And so you're going to have to open it up. Well, then last night, the Department of Justice filed a motion appealing it. And in the last hour or so, the U.S. District Court of Appeals, Ninth Circuit in San Francisco, a California court, reversed the judge's order. And what it is it denied the request to resume the travel pause, so there are no executive order restrictions on people coming in from those 7 countries. The borders, essentially, this morning are open.
All right. Yeah, it's very confusing, but that's the bottom line.
Yeah,
bottom line
the borders are open.
And I'm going to bring something else to the bottom line. They have until tonight, to midnight tonight, and possibly longer, to go restate your case to a judge if you're the Department of Justice, who, by the way, we don't have an attorney general. So the Department of Justice has to restate their case and try to get the Ninth District to say, no, I do see a constitutional reason for Donald Trump to do what he did with those seven countries.
Here's the reason the DOJ filed this appeal. They said that blocking the ban harms all of us. It could harm the public. And they said it second guesses the president's national security judgment.
Right. But ultimately, what the argument the Justice Department made was this. If you are an alien and not an American citizen, you do not have the right to come to this country. I mean, that is just flat out true. Alan Dershowitz, a day or so ago, said that the Trump administration was on solid legal ground. This could ultimately wind up in the Supreme Court, but keep in mind, in the very beginning, this was just a temporary travel ban, 120 days.
We call it a pause, actually.
4 months in length, so they could figure out extreme vetting. You know what? They're just going to have to figure out how they're going to do the extreme vetting if they don't do anything differently with these restrictions.
So Donald Trump tweeted out this morning, he says, I had a judge in Boston come out in a tweet this morning, I had a judge in Boston come out and say this was valid. Leave the ban, the pause alone. But the one in Washington State seems to have a better argument, and so therefore that argument stands, and the executive order is now pushed aside for now. And guess what's happening? In those 7 nations, 3 of which they have broken governments, they have no control of their visa system, their IDs cannot be verified in many cases. They are rushing quickly now, while this is in play, to quickly get over here as fast as they can, because there's this slim window, they believe, while this executive
let's take
ban
advantage
has been
of this
held.
while we can. Let's get in as soon as possible.
You know what's so interesting about the fact that Donald Trump has come up with this executive order saying people from these 7 countries couldn't come into the country without this extreme vetting, is it sounds a lot like what Chuck Schumer, his arch rival across his arch rival across the aisle in the U.S. Senate said. Chuck Schumer in 2015 tweeted out this. Listen to this, folks. I bet you haven't seen this. Chuck Schumer says, we must tighten loopholes in the visa waiver program, ensure passports can't be faked, and stop terrorists who want to exploit the system. So Chuck Schumer last year was talking about extreme vetting, and now suddenly he's against it. And which one is it, Chuck?
That's what drives people crazy. But because they're insincerely fighting back against anything Donald Trump, it helps fuel the ridiculous protests taking place in Philadelphia. You could even say Australia, as far as London. Yeah. They're protesting against this executive order, which they even have in Der Spiegel, which is a magazine I don't get, but it's German, even though I took 3 years of German, has Donald Trump with a knife in his hand beheading the Statue of Liberty. Beheading the Statue of Liberty over 7 terror-laden states. We want to just take a look and evaluate them for an extreme vetting procedure.
All right. Well, Bill O'Reilly sat down with President Trump for the Super Bowl interview, and he did talk to him about that, but he also talked to him about Russia and Vladimir Putin. Listen to this.
Do you respect Putin?
I do respect him.
Do you? Why?
Well, I respect a lot of people, but that doesn't mean I'm going to get along with him. He's a leader of his country. I say it's better to get along with Russia than not. And if Russia helps us in the fight against ISIS, which is a major fight, and Islamic terrorism all over the world, major fight, that's a good thing. Will I get along with him? I have no idea. It's very
He's a
possible
killer,
I
though.
won't.
Putin's a killer.
A lot of killers. We got a lot of killers. Why, you think our country's so innocent?
Yes.
You think
I
our
do.
country's so innocent. So that's Donald Trump with Bill O'Reilly. You know, back in the olden days, they used to do that live, but because people are traveling and the president is down at Mar-a-Lago, they taped it. You will be able to see Bill O'Reilly sit down interview. It's something they do every Super Bowl in the pregame show this afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern time on Fox broadcast.
You know, Steve, there's a lot of things that are traditional when it comes to the Super Bowl. Something that started just a few years ago is the NFL Honors. It's become a major award show. So they wait to the end of the year to hand out their MVPs, best offensive, best defenses, coach of the year, man of the year. But before they do that, the who's who of football and celebrity take to the red carpet. I was able to run over there yesterday and find out what they think of the big game.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'm a huge football fan, and being around all of these athletes is so thrilling for me. I think I can speak for anybody who sits on the couch on Sunday and watches the games.
I think there is an experience factor. You know, obviously Brady and those guys have been here before. You know, now as a guy who's played in one Super Bowl, I think if we'd get back, you know, I think you're a lot more prepared.
Do what you always have done and get you to where you at now. Don't change anything. Don't look at it no differently. Even though it's Super Bowl, which is the game, is magnified times 10. Just do what you always have.
Atlanta certainly is explosive on offense. They've got a handful of guys that make it challenging to defend them.
When the underdog has a guy that also put up about 5,000 yards of offense, it's amazing that they're underdogs. But that's the kind of franchise they're up against. So I hope it'll be a good game.
I think it's going to be a great game, and I predict to you this will be the first overtime game in Super Bowl history.
Wow, Joe Buck, not nervous the day before he's about to broadcast in front of 100 million people. So in terms of the actual awards, last night the Hall of Fame class was announced when Danian Tomlinson first up, first in. Morton Anderson is also in, the outstanding kicker. Jason Taylor, Kenny Easley, Jerry Jones goes in as a contributor, owner of the Cowboys. Terrell Davis, what he did with the Broncos was exceptional. And Kurt Warner, one of the great stories in sports. This guy was working at a supermarket, the Arena Football League, ends up winning, going to 2 Super Bowls, winning one with the Rams, 12 years in the league, so he goes in.
Love hearing those stories.
What about Coach of the Year?
Jason Garrett of the Dallas Cowboys. It's been a great year for the Cowboys, even though they didn't break through. He gets Coach of the Year. Matt Ryan, which is kind of interesting. Matt Ryan beats out Tom Brady for MVP and Best Offensive Player. I talked to Jason Garrett about a guy that sat at our table at the Washington Correspondents' Dinner, Tony Romo. Is there a chance he stays on the team as a backup?
Is there a scenario where Tony Romo stays on your roster next year in the era of the salary cap?
Yeah, we haven't gotten into any personnel discussions. Tony's been a great player for us, for the last 10 years, and we certainly appreciate his contributions. We'll have a lot of discussions about his status and the status of everybody as we go forward.
Brian, I got a question for you. Would Tom Brady have been in contention for that without the Deflategate thing, the suspension thing?
Yeah, Steve, what he did after his suspension was unbelievable as he came out. And I think in the long run, when you're 39 years old, if they give you a month off to get ready for the season and hang out with Giselle rather than getting tackled by sweaty linemen, I think that works better for your body.
I was talking to some Patriots fans last night in this neighborhood, and they told me that they are so excited because tonight, after the Super Bowl, Roger Goodell is going to have to hand the trophy to the New England Patriots.
That is going to be interesting.
Everybody's waiting for that. Who are supporters of the New England
Joel's
team.
shaking his head no. Why, you don't think they're going to win?
No.
Yeah.
He's got.
Right, we'll see.
We're fair and balanced all over the place.
I will say this. This is going to be the hardest task, even though they've lost twice to the Giants, the hardest task since they upset the Rams in their first Super Bowl in this era to beat this Falcons.
Well, that's great. That's what you want. You want it to be a good game.
Right.
And it starts 12 hours, 19 minutes, and 21 seconds from right now
on Fox.
Let's hand it over to Heather, who has some headlines for us. Hey, Heather.
Morning, gang. Great to see you all. And Brian, looks like such a fun night last night. Good morning to all of you. I've got a couple headlines to bring you right now. First up, overseas, Iran blatantly defying the United States, carrying out military exercises, including ballistic missile launches and cyber warfare tests. It's the latest power move in that tug of war, which started with a failed missile test that took place last week, followed by a new round of economic sanctions from the White House. Iran's military now threatening, quote, if the enemy falls out of line, our missiles will pour down on them. The President Trump refuses to take any action off the table. We'll keep you posted on any updates. Well, Vice President Mike Pence throwing his support behind the Supreme Court nominee, Neil Gorsuch, saying he will vote in the Senate one way or another.
President Trump and I have full confidence that Judge Gorsuch will be confirmed. But rest assured, we will work with the Senate leadership to ensure that Judge Gorsuch gets an up or down vote on the Senate floor one way or the other.
And there you have it. The vice president also comparing Gorsuch to the late conservative icon, Justice Antonin Scalia, whose death opened up the 9th seat on that bench. And Sean Spicer makes his debut on Saturday Night Live. Check this out.
Does anybody else have any questions? Yeah, a Wall Street Journal. Are you okay? Come here. Put you in the corner with CNN.
We're not fake news!
You like that? You like that dork? You like that dork?
Oh my goodness. Well, that is Melissa McCarthy. She's portraying the White House press secretary, and that whole thing is going viral. So far, no response from the real Sean Spicer. We'll give him a call this morning to see
No
what he thinks
kidding.
of that. You know, Brian, that imitation is about as bad as yours on Saturday Night Live.
At least Brian was played by a man.
Yeah,
I
chubby
feel so
guy
fortunate
who
now.
looks nothing like you, but
Right.
yet, yeah.
He had dark hair.
Yeah.
It's true. I'd rather not be portrayed by a woman.
Yeah.
All right, Heather, thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
I'll tell you this, that did look funny.
Just have to have
Sorry, Sean.
humor about it. You know, I mean,
Right.
satire.
Coming from a woman who has not been on SNL yet.
Bring it on.
Okay,
Bring it on.
fine.
All right, thanks, Heather.
Don't ask for that. Do
All right.
not ask for that.
He does not want you to
We've
bring it
been
on.
down that road.
Okay, we're fine the way we are. All right, listen to this. The president vows to crack down on illegals and sanctuary cities, right? Well, the son of our next guest, her only child, was murdered by an illegal immigrant.
And we're still 12 hours away from the big game, but Pete Hegseth is already at NRG Stadium. Pete, what's coming up?
That's right. Good morning, guys. I usually miss you, but not this morning. We are right here in the epicenter of the Super Bowl, the Patriots end zone right here, the Patriots sideline, and literally Fox and Friends, the only ones broadcasting from this stadium right now. Stick around for more Fox and Friends.
It's a heartbreaking case that highlighted the need for better border security measures. 25-year-old Spencer Golvach was shot and killed by an illegal immigrant. There's his picture. While he was in his car, stopped at a traffic light back in 2015. The gunman was a known gang member and had already been deported 4 times. There is his picture. So how does the victim's family feel about President Trump cracking down on immigration in sanctuary cities? Julie Golvach is Spencer's mother. Also joining her is Maria Espinoza. She is the national director of the Remembrance Project, which advocates for families whose loved ones are killed by illegal immigrants. And you were responsible for the angel moms that were on stage with Donald Trump at many of his rallies. So thank you both for being
Yes,
here.
thank you for
Really
having us.
appreciate that. Julie, I'll start with you. Tell me about Spencer.
So Spencer was my only son, my only child. Very intelligent, bright, humorous. He had lots of friends, and all of his friends said that if there was one connection point that brought them all together, that was Spencer. He was very kind-hearted. He had friends that were in their 70s, and he had students. He owned his own business. He was had a guitar shop, and he had students that he taught, and they loved him and thought the world of him. And
for 25 years, you nurtured him.
Yep,
You cared for
absolutely.
him.
Absolutely.
You prayed for him every single day, I'm sure, as most mothers do.
Before
what
he
happened?
Before he was born, I wrote in his baby book, and I told him this every day of his life was, did I ever tell you that out of all the children in the world, you're the one I would have picked? And I felt that way before he was born and through his whole life. And the last time I was able to tell him, I would change it for his birth year. And the last time I was able to tell him, did I ever tell you out of all the 25-year-olds in the world, that was the last year I was able to tell him that.
Sweet. I'll start saying that to my little one. So what happened?
He had went and watched a movie at his stepbrother's house with his girlfriend. And after midnight, it was her birthday, and they stopped and got some cookies. He dropped her off at home. He told her, "Happy birthday, I love you, see you tomorrow." And went about 10 minutes down the road, was sitting at a left turn light, and an illegal alien was on a shooting spree, and my son was the second of 4 that were shot that night. And he shot through the passenger window, shot my son through the ear and into his brain, and my son died alone in the truck here in Houston, Texas.
Wow. And he was killed by an officer.
He was, yes.
Or the
After
man
his
who-
4th shooting, a sheriff's deputy pursued him. He shot at the officer there, and the officer killed him.
Wow. Well, I'm so sorry for your loss. So tell me how the project is making a difference for this country.
Well, Nancy, we are bringing attention to the most ignored of Americans here in our own country. And my husband, Tim Ling, and I started the Remembrance Project in 2009 because of a Houston police officer's shooting of Henry Canales. And in that report, they talked about another shooting death of Officer Rodney Johnson, whose widow had filed a lawsuit against the city with regard to sanctuary city policies. And that's where we first learned of these dangerous safe havens for illegal aliens. And that was why the Remembrance Project was born.
So you're both in favor of building the wall?
Absolutely.
And the travel ban or travel pause?
Yes, against the countries from terrorists. Absolutely, we are. Anything to protect our families.
Thank you for sharing your stories with us
Thank you
today.
so much for having us here.
Sorry,
Appreciate it.
The big game, just a few hours away, and Pete Hegseth is live out on the field. Hey, Pete.
Good morning and welcome back to Fox and Friends from Houston. A couple of news headlines to bring you right now. The President, Trump, and First Lady Melania attending a Red Cross gala at Mar-a-Lago Club in Florida. Hundreds of people attending that black tie affair. This is the first getaway the president has taken since he was sworn into office. And Education Secretary nominee Betsy DeVos may finally be confirmed as early as tomorrow. An early voting vote in the Senate taking place on Friday, overruling a Democrat filibuster that was designed to block her. 2 Republicans still expected to vote no, and that could require a tie-breaking vote from Vice President Pence. And there's your headlines. I'll see you back here real soon. Steve, Brian, and Ainsley, what you got?
Thank you so much, Heather. Well, hundreds of thousands of fans descending on Houston for football's biggest night tonight, including Vice President Mike Pence and former President H.W. Bush, who will toss the coin tonight.
But it's no game for security. The NFL hired more than 4,000 private security and safety control officers to help the cops and the feds for more than 40 different jurisdictions.
Yeah, it's going to be bigger than ever. Joining us live from the stadium with an inside look is Fox News contributor and U.S. Army vet Pete Hegseth on the field. Hey, Pete, first off, is the roof closed?
The roof is closed right now. Yeah, you're right. And it's hard to concentrate because I'm really just focused on the fact that I'm standing on the field here at the Super Bowl. But a lot of fun. I mean, how do you get past that, really? It's a bucket list item. But the security, security coming in here, even this morning, was like going through an airport. They're going to be checking everything coming in. Personnel already here, although it's empty. People are shuffling in. They're already running dogs through making sure everything is secure. As you said, 4,000 personnel, 41 federal agencies coordinating alongside the Houston Police Department. Earlier, I was at the squadron out of Ellington Air Force Base here in Houston that's going to be controlling the skies, no-fly zone. So in the air and on the ground, they're going to be covering every single aspect. No credible threats that we're aware of at this point, but when I talked to the police chief of the Houston Police Department, he said vehicle threats, as we saw in Nice and elsewhere, the new tactic. They're going to be guarding against that with jersey barriers and a very wide perimeter.
Pete, one thing is pretty clear. We are a polarized society, but we all agree. We love President Bush 41, and the way
Yes.
he's acted afterwards in class, the life he's lived is just one to emulate. What's he going to be doing today?
Perfect guy, and his wife Barbara will be doing the coin toss here today. He just got out of the hospital a week ago with pneumonia. She was in with bronchitis as well. They live here, near here in Houston. So they'll be flipping the coin toss to kick off the game. Not the first time they've ever done it. They did it actually in 2002 as well. Ironically, Tom Brady's first Super Bowl, and he won that game, if you remember, against the Rams, 20-17. Although in that coin toss, it went to the Rams, not the Patriots. So maybe the Falcons are hoping that H.W. Bush, our 41st president, will throw them a little luck today as well. So very cool. We'll see them at the 50-yard line to kick off the festivities tonight.
And Vice President Pence is going to be there tonight too, right?
He is. I remember when President Trump, or then President-elect Trump, showed up to the Army-Navy game and the response that he got. Vice President Pence will be doing the same here tonight. It'll be interesting. I'm sure he'll get a great response from the crowd here in Houston. Back to you guys.
Absolutely. And Pete, as you said, the security is tough, so they wouldn't possibly allow you to stay there for the game, would they?
No, I am. If it pan over here, I'm going to jump over those barriers, though, eventually, and make my way out of the field. I mean, this is going to get unhinged here if they leave me here long enough.
Great. Just make sure the cameraman is taking pictures when you are arrested, okay?
Right, I was going to say, your next live shot is from behind bars.
Right.
From the jail.
Pete, good job.
You can see all the clubs that Pete's been to by his paper wristbands that he's wearing.
That's right. High security. All right. Thank you, Peter.
So many security guards and lots of dogs.
Yeah, I know. What are they called? Australian German Shepherds. They're very lean, they're quick, and they smell good, and they also are very good at smelling.
That is good news.
Smell them?
Well, we certainly
Other than that porcupine yesterday.
That's true. That was awful.
I'm still not over that. Hey, let me just tell you what's coming up next before I get yelled at again. It is a ton of work to put the biggest TV broadcast on in the world, isn't it? This morning, I'm taking you behind the scenes of a Fox Sports telecast that really focuses on the best scoreboard show in the history of football, and that is the Fox NFL Sunday Group. But do we honor the...
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Waltrip High School Band with 11 hours, 57 minutes, and 10 seconds before the Super Bowl. We are live in Houston, where there is suddenly a light rain coming down, but they're not going to rain on our parade because it's Super Bowl Sunday.
Baby! I love this song.
Right.
Should we do the show or should we sing?
You know what? I think America wants us to do the show. They don't want us to sing. Hey, I got to tell you, one of the most exciting things, if you're not in the game, the second most exciting thing has to be doing the broadcast, and that's the Ram Band. They're awesome. And to me, the best scoreboard show in the history of sports is right here. When you talk about great broadcasters that were great players and coaches that ended up being an incredible team that are like family. You got Howie, Strahan, Kurt Menefee, Terry Bradshaw, and Jimmy Johnson. And I talked to them as they got ready in their final rehearsal for what will be a 5-hour live broadcast. But overall, they're going to be on for 12 hours today. How do they do it? Watch.
Dun, 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 dun. Get that junk out of here. His butt all of these men. Don't ever get it back again. It's unmessable.
Final meeting before the final rehearsal for Fox NFL Sunday behind closed doors. Finishing touches on the script. We're about to go inside.
What's up, guys? How you doing? How you doing, man?
You know, when you're talking about best ever, the two guys that pop to the top of the list are the two guys that have 4 Super Bowls. Joe Montana and
Camera over here.
Terrence
Right here.
Paxton Bradshaw.
That's right.
Terry, hours before the big game. 100 million people watching, all these countries. What are your thoughts?
I have one of the best interviews I've ever had with Tom Brady. I told him, you get that 5th Super Bowl. I said, nobody will be more proud of you than me. I said, I'll hug you and I'll be glad to hand you that trophy. But when you reach out to grab it, I'm going to drop it on your foot.
When you're on the panel, is it fun? Is it nervous?
You know, we're close to NASA. We're not rocket scientists. We talk football. And we have a great group. We've been fortunate. Terry and I have been together 23 years, and we're family here.
Oh, and by the way, the last time we did a Super Bowl, I had to leave because my dad died that night. So before I came down here, I made my mother go get a checkup. Make sure she's okay.
Hi, Jay. Here we are, final rehearsal before the biggest game, Super Bowl. What about you? You are not singing halftime.
What do you mean? Why is that
Lady Gaga is jumping from the ceiling at halftime.
So I'm out?
You're out. What do you see your role here as?
It's my job to give everybody a behind-the-scenes look, kind of pull the curtain back, tell you what's really going on.
And I know you're going to pull it off big time Sunday.
Absolutely, that's my job, right?
All right.
Come up big.
You come up big.
Everybody, it's everybody's Super Bowl.
Yeah,
it's not just those two teams out there. It's got to be our Super Bowl also. We got to come up big.
What's going through your minds with 100 million people about to be watching what you do?
When you're doing your show, once you get going, it's almost like being a football player. They say when you take that first hit, then it becomes just another game. Once you're on the air and you get to that first commercial break, then it's just another show. You know, if you told me when I was 12 years old that I'd get to do this for a living, I'd be done right there, Mick.
The vice president will be here, and Bush 41 will toss out the coin. What do you think will happen as he sits here in Houston?
I think being around those guys would be like being around Bradshaw. You know, I mean, it's just royalty no matter what. I mean, I think he's a guy, I think no matter your politics, no matter which way you lean, everybody knows. Nice man, lovely man, great family. And so I think this place is going to just blow up once he comes out here.
As a broadcaster, what's the challenge?
I don't know. It's weird. You have a job, and I know it's tough, but when you work with the right people, it just works. Doesn't seem it goes too fast, to be honest with you. I'm not stressed. The audience is big, but it's not the same thing. I'm not worried about being hit, not worried about being sore, not worried about any of that. But at the end of the day, I don't get a ring either. Best team in sports. Get a pan down there. They're not the prettiest team, okay? But they have heart. Heart. Why don't you and I just get it started right
Hey, that may be the wildest ending in the history of Fox NFL Sunday.
A Texas showdown.
And they really get along. Now, listen to this. You have Chris Long, Howie's son, who's playing for the Patriots.
Yes.
He got signed by the Rams. Then you have their all-time record for most Super Bowl victories. Montana and Bradshaw hold it with Brady. Brady wins today. There goes that record. And for Michael Strahan, this is his hometown.
Sure.
So to come home and broadcast
So did
means a lot to
Bradshaw
him.
say that he wants him to win? Does he want the Patriots to win, or does he like holding that?
Clearly, Howie does. I think that Bradshaw was really moved by his one-on-one with Tom Brady. He goes, I want Brady to break my record, but keep in mind, I'm first.
That's right.
I did it first with the Steelers.
Now, a little while ago when we were at live at the stadium with Pete Hegseth, Brian asked, is the roof open? And he said, no, it's closed. It's because right now here in Houston at 11 hours and 51 minutes before the big game, it's raining a little bit, and that's why we brought in the Pee Wee football players, and we apologize to the marching band, which I hope they are wearing drip-dry outfits.
And believe me, this team wanted to stay in the rain. We begged them to come in because we want to make sure you guys get the FaceTime.
But you know what today is? It's National Weather Person's Day, so it's a perfect day to have our weather person with an umbrella.
Janice, it is National Weather Person's Day. So we wanted to surprise you and tell you we love you, congratulations, and we want to honor you and celebrate you today because you do such a great job.
That's very kind. I apologize for the rain, though. That's not a good thing. Thank goodness I brought my umbrella because that wouldn't look like a good thing if the weather person didn't know it was going to rain today.
That's right.
We are seeing on and off showers, unfortunately, in the Houston area. That's going to be ongoing because we have the southerly flow. I mean, yesterday we were talking about temperatures in the 40s. Today we're talking about temperatures near 80 degrees, your daytime high. That's what happens here in the south. So on and off showers today in the Houston area. The good news is at NRG Stadium, they have a roof. So we're not going to be dealing with too much of a problem during game time. The temperature is going to be around 76, we think. For kickoff, though, 70 degrees with a chance of showers here in the Houston area. But so if you're headed out to the game, just bring your umbrella, bring your slicker. Let's take a look at the rest of the country as we move ahead towards the maps. Again, it's warm across the south, across the Great Lakes in the northeast. That's where we've got the cold wintertime temperatures. 33 in New York City, 57 in LA. Quick look at the radar. You're going to see those showers across the south, across Texas, Louisiana, some on and off showers for the Gulf Coast. And then we have the lake effect snow machine up and running for the Great Lakes and the upper Midwest. Not a big deal, not a huge storm system, but as we get into Monday and Tuesday, we're going to watch the Northeast for the potential of perhaps a little winter storm. Across the West, another round of systems that's going to bring a lot of heavy rain and big time snow, 2 to 4 feet of snow in the mountains. So that's going to be a big system that we're going to watch over the next 24 to 48 hours. And again, there's your Super Bowl Sunday forecast. At least it's not cold outside. We'll just have to deal with the rain showers. Back to you, Heather, for some news.
All right, Janice, thank you so much. And happy National Weathercaster Day, or whatever you call it. We love you. You know that. All right, good morning to all of you. I've got a couple of news headlines to bring you, starting with a very serious story. There has been a major break in the case of a murder of a New York jogger. Police now arresting a Brooklyn man in connection to the brutal death of Katrina Vetrano that happened back in August. Officials not identifying the suspect at this point, but police say that he was on their radar. They got a DNA sample. Investigators matched that with DNA from the crime scene. Vetrano was jogging in a Queens Park when she was killed. So far, no charges have been filed, but we'll bring you the latest as we get it. Well, former Republican presidential nominee Mitt Romney with a rare compliment for President Trump, praising his first few weeks in office, saying this, quote, "We're all watching with interest. He's obviously gotten off to a very strong start in terms of making a series of executive orders and making the changes that he promised during the campaign." Well, Romney was in consideration for Secretary of State under the Trump administration, a job that ended up going to Rex Tillerson. And a liberal arts college now giving preference to refugees in defiance of President Trump's blocked immigration halt. Wheaton College, that's in Massachusetts, offering a new refugee scholarship reserved for students from 7 Middle Eastern nations included in that executive order. The college president claiming the order endangers the school's ability to be a, quote, global institution. So giving those free scholarships away to foreigners, not necessarily to our students.
Yeah, but you know what? It's not just a problem. All right, this morning we are riding in style. We are suiting up in cowboy boots because that's where I'm most comfortable, and hats, thanks to these men, and you're about to see them. Thank you very much. Supplying our show with Western wear because we did not travel with it all weekend.
But they are also a perfect example of the American dream, a small mom and pop shop launching into widespread success and everyone in the state.
That's a
knows
good look,
the company.
Tex.
You look
Not
good.
that I could tell.
Joining us right now are Joe and Mike Cavenders, the owners of Cavenders, better known as the best place to dress like a Texan. Guys, welcome to you.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Howdy, we say.
How do you dress like a Texan?
Jeans, boots,
That's it?
casual shirt.
Make it sound more
jacket.
complicated than that because this is your business, right?
We were casual before casual was cool.
Now, are those cowboy glasses? Because I don't know if those look Texan, do they?
I don't know. We're in 9 states now.
All right, well, you got to branch
Wow.
out.
9 states. When I lived in San Antonio, y'all were huge. This is where everyone goes to get their cowboy gear and their cowboy boots. So you started as a small business in what city?
Pittsburgh, Texas.
Okay.
Small town, about 5,000 people.
What do you think about Donald Trump as our president?
What's that again?
What do you think about Donald Trump as our president?
Well, we, Mike and I both, we supported Donald Trump, and we think we're optimistic next 4 years that we're going to see a business-friendly environment. And
what's the number one issue for you? Is it the number of regulations? Is it health care? What is it?
Well, I think right now, consumer confidence, we just need to get consumer confidence, get jobs growing. Health care is an issue. We're privately insured, but we have seen our health care costs go up some. But
yeah, you just want to go. You want to get to the point where you can do the best you can do to be successful. You don't want government at any level standing in your way. And that's what I think Donald Trump is getting out of his series of meetings with small business owners, CEOs of major companies. And do you feel as though someone's listening and Linda McMahon as Secretary of Small Business will be responsive?
I think you've got a businessman as president now, and I think he will do common sense methods.
Which is something we haven't. You know, the other thing about Donald Trump is he's actually run something. We've had presidents who never ran anything.
I agree. He's a businessman surrounded with a smart team of people, and they're going to run it like a business.
Immigration's been a big topic this week. What do you think about the wall? Do you like that idea?
You know, I think it's refreshing that we are talking about immigration, and I'd like to see something get resolved on it. By and large, the immigrants here are good people, hardworking people, and I'd just like to see something get settled on it, and instead of kicking the can down the road like we've been doing for the last 20 years.
It's such an important point you made. They're hardworking people. All we want to do is make the whole immigration system simpler for people to come here quicker and make sure who they are. But you can't do it unless we have border security first, and then we accelerate the admission of people who want to do the work.
Right. And, you know, Mexico's our friend. We got great trade relations, our business with a lot of Mexican companies. Most of our suppliers are located here in the United States, but there's a lot of trade between U.S. and Mexico. So, you know, there is concern, but I think there'll be middle ground, and NAFTA's been around 25 years.
Well,
maybe it's time that it's re-examined and make some adjustments, but I think something positive will come out of it.
Do you think there's any way I'll ever look right in this outfit? Because
Oh, you look good in that hat. Yeah, you're looking good.
That's a guy that just wants to make a sale. I think that's what I'm saying.
All right, Mike, thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Great. Sorry about the rain.
That's okay.
Thank you so much, guys. Great to see you.
All right, coming up, our Texas size celebration continues as Texas Congressman Pete Sessions. Look at that. He's inside, away from the rain. He's joining us coming up very shortly. Good morning to you, sir. Okay. Well, I think we know what we're all going to be doing at 4 o'clock this afternoon. We're going to be watching Fox broadcast. It's the pregame show for the Super Bowl. It is when whoever the network that is broadcasting the Super Bowl, one of their lead guys gets to interview the president. Today it's Bill O'Reilly, 4 o'clock with President Trump.
Yeah, you talked to him about different issues. We played the first hour, him talking about Vladimir Putin and what's going on in Russia. But as we know on the campaign trail, Donald Trump talked about building the wall and getting the illegal immigrants who have committed crimes in this country out.
And when it came to voting, he believes the reason he lost the popular vote is possibly millions voted illegally. That was the question that came up with Bill O'Reilly.
Is there any validity to the criticism of you that you say things you can't back up factually? And as the president, if you say, for example, that there are 3 million illegal aliens who voted, and then you don't have the data to back it up, some people are going to say that's irresponsible for a president to say that. Is there any validity to that?
Many people have come out and said I'm right. You know that.
I know, but you got to have data to back that up.
Let me just tell you, when you see illegals, people that are not citizens, and they're on the registration rolls. Look, Bill, we can be babies, but you take a look at the registration. You have illegals, you have dead people, you have this. It's really a bad situation. It's really bad.
It's worth looking at.
Sure.
Worth looking at.
Although I heard a couple of days ago that is no longer a priority for the Trump administration. They're putting that on the back burner. They got plenty of other stuff to be
So they're not even
focusing
moving
on.
forward with the investigation?
Doesn't sound like it's a top priority at this point.
All
I
right,
heard
meanwhile,
one of the
Bill
White House
O'Reilly's
people say.
interview tonight, and tomorrow he'll have more on his show on Monday and Tuesday, I guess, or actually on Tuesday when Bill O'Reilly comes back, because he'll have, of course, an extended interview with Donald Trump.
Sure.
And I guess Bill could come out and watch the game if he wanted, because he's done the interview.
I think Bill O'Reilly's going to be on this show
He's gonna be
today.
on our show today.
Yeah.
He's calling in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to be on the show today.
Talking about that.
We would call that being on the show.
Right, but maybe we could ask him. But I'm saying physically he could be in Houston if he wanted to. He's
Yes,
got the
he
interview
could.
out of the way.
It's
All right.
America.
All right. Good point. Look who's hanging out in our man cave. Texas Congressman Pete Sessions and Janice Dean. And today, despite the humidity, they need a blanket.
It's a Sunday Sessions.
My name is Rob, I got a real funky concept. Listen up, cause I'm gonna keep you in step. I got an idea that I wanna share. You don't like it, so what? I don't care. I'm number one, the uno, I like calm. Bring over suckers, cause all of them I'll stomp. Won't neglect, but I will.
What's this song? What's this song?
This will work, right?
What is this song? Huh? What is this song?
Well, you know what? Maybe this is an homage to Bruno Mars, who a year or two ago was the halftime performer at the Super Bowl. It's Uptown Funk, live from Super Bowl 51, 11 hours, 29 minutes, and 12 seconds until the big show here in Houston, Texas.
Right. Now, if they let us play stuff like this in band, I'd still be in band today. Right. Because they always gave us the most complicated, retro, classic music stuff. But I'd rather play Uptown Funk. And for my money, great job, guys, the Ram Band.
That's right.
For my money, the best halftime show I've seen is Bruno Mars.
That was very good.
And I'm not
What
even
a
necessarily
showman.
a Bruno Mars fan, but the way you put that together, fantastic.
Because he's got like an old school soul and rhythm to him, and it's
Right.
fun to watch him dance.
He's an
All in
entertainer. He's
sync.
just jumping around.
You know what I'm thinking about? Like, what are all the I'm thinking, like, I'm going home. We're going home today. You're going to stay for the game and broadcast here live. We're going home. What are we going to make? We've got Super Bowl parties tonight to attend.
I'm going to make reservations because I'm going to be tired. Just saying.
Have y'all ever had the thing where you put the Velveeta cheese? And
Oh, Rotel dip. I made that on Fox and Friends.
It's so freaking good. You put the nacho cheese.
Really?
That's
an endorsement.
I'm going to do that one tonight.
And by the way, this segment brought to you by Velveeta, the cheese that's
There you
so
go.
freaking good.
Is it even cheese?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not
it's
even,
che-
you
it's
don't even
cheese
buy
food.
it in the refrigerated area.
Right. If we don't say it's cheese, we'll be apologizing for not calling it cheese
It is
tomorrow.
Cheese. We
Velveeta
love
is a
that
cheese
cheese.
food,
Right.
and it is delicious.
A cheese food.
All right. Meanwhile, it is a Fox News alert. The appeals court, the Ninth Circuit, has rejected the Trump administration request to restore the travel ban. What that means is, remember a couple of days last week, Donald Trump came up with this travel ban restricting people from coming in from 7 countries. And then a couple of days ago, that judge out in the great state of Washington said, can't do it. Then last night, the Trump administration sent the Department of Justice in to say, hey, come on, we object. And then you had the Court of Appeals, the Ninth Circuit in San Francisco, late last night, actually early this morning, say, you know what, that stands. The borders are still open for those people from the 7 countries.
Now, the DOJ can go back and change
They
their
are.
argument. The argument originally was they said that blocking the ban harms you, the public, and they said it second guesses the president's national security judgment.
And they also add in this word, it's too speculative. You say, hey, White House, you told us these 7 countries could be a terror threat. It's too speculative. If they had performed, if there was a direct threat, that would change the case. So it's up to the Justice Department maybe to decide, I'm going to address that issue. Speculative, I'm going to come out with some specifics why I am worried.
Well, the reason for that is during the argument, the Justice Department attorney, the U.S. attorney out arguing in front of Judge Robards, said, okay, so how many people from those 7 countries have attacked the United States since 9/11? And the U.S. attorney said, I don't know. And the judge said, 0. And so that obviously is where that's coming from. What may happen next is the Trump administration could either fine-tune a new executive order, or it looks like the Department of Justice has until tomorrow to appeal the latest Court of Appeals thing. It's kind of a legal thing, but nonetheless, the Trump ban, so-called ban, not in business right now.
So right now, bottom line is the borders are open to these refugees right now.
Right.
So you know what they're all doing in these 7 countries especially? They're rushing to come here to the United States just in case it's reversed. They want to get here while they can.
Yeah, the sense is it's just a small window before this thing becomes, is put in place. Meanwhile, I hope they're moving ahead with extreme vetting, because nothing will stop them from doing extreme vetting in those 7 countries before visas are handed out. And by the way, I just think it's so ironic and rich, and with the sarcasm, sarcastic meant to be, that they're protesting in London our travel ban when we know the emergence of ISIS had all these people with British accents cutting off people's heads.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what we're worried about. Potentially coming back and being like you guys, like Germany, like Belgium, like France, where they're getting run over by cars. They're coming after them with machetes because they let them all in. And in Germany, on the cover of Der Spiegel, is Donald Trump in a cartoon cutting off the Statue of Liberty's head.
Great.
You believe that? They let in 1 million+ refugees, causing chaos in their nation. And because we don't want to do that, we are brutes and self-centered, and we've lost the spirit of America.
Well, the good news, if there's a silver lining to this, it's that the country of Iran has reversed their travel ban. Because as soon as we had the travel ban, then they instituted a travel ban, and now apparently U.S. wrestlers will be able to compete in Iran in the Freestyle World Cup
Well, that's
coming
good.
up.
Yeah, you don't want to travel to Iran
Terrific.
with a unitard and not be able to use it.
It's become a very political issue. And
Do you
Chuck
think?
Schumer, we saw him crying recently because
Right.
he's not in favor of not allowing these 7 countries
just not
to come
American.
here. It's not American, he says. He's
That's
crying.
today.
That's today. But in November of 2015, this is what he had to say. He said, we must tighten loopholes in the visa waiver program, ensure passports can't be faked, and stop terrorists who want to exploit the system. Well, guess what, Senator Schumer? That's exactly what Donald Trump is trying to do.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
And by the way, just to reiterate my point about the magazine.
Yes.
The world has had protests in Australia, who are our good friends, but they were protesting Donald Trump in Australia. and they were protesting him in London. And in Germany, they're also outraged by Donald Trump's presence. This Der Spiegel, which is the #1 outside the Stern news mag. Why do I know so many magazines?
I have no idea.
But this is their #1. This
look
is
at that.
so abhorrent. How abhorrent is that? In a country that's overrun with refugees who they have no idea who they are and what they intend to do, they make us look like
You were
barbarians.
talking about this an hour ago, and now
I'm
when you
outraged by
actually
this.
look at it,
But look at
that's
the
awful.
Look at the image on the right from Village and the target, and it said at the bottom, "Why not?"
Well, listen.
Inviting an assassination. That's just so inappropriate.
I was talking to someone yesterday.
That's an Irish magazine.
I was talking to someone yesterday, and she's European, and she was saying the reason is because the mainstream media, if you turn on any of the news outlets overseas, they're all talking about how much they don't like him. So it's biased media.
Well, of course.
They don't, so that's why you have all these protests. And why are they protesting our president? Why do they even?
Well, everyone has an opinion on America. 47% of our country is in supporting of the ban, the temporary pause, in order to set up extreme vetting criteria.
Listen, ultimately what's going on is Donald Trump, you got to figure he's down in Mar-a-Lago right now. He's probably watching us, watching all the channels, trying to figure out what to do next because he's only been president of the United States for 2 weeks and 2 days, and he's gotten so much done. He's probably trying to figure out how to get around this judge out in California at this minute. So that's the beauty of a Fox News channel because we've got the live news all day long, and with this White House, the news changes all day long.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, Heather Nauert knows that. She's got the latest breaking news from around the world. Hey, Heather.
Hi, I certainly do. Good morning. Good morning to all of you. Iran, as we talk about around the world, blatantly defying the United States once again, carrying out military exercises that included ballistic missile launches and also cyber warfare tests. That's the latest power move in that tug of war, which started with a failed missile test last week, followed by a new round of economic sanctions from the White House. Iran's military now threatening, quote, if the enemy falls out of line, our missiles will pour down on them, end quote. President Trump refusing to take any action off the table. More on this as we get it. Well, another weekend, another protest, but they were not all against the president. Some protesters did go after the president's immigration order. Take a listen to this. Just a little example of one thing going on in West Palm Beach yesterday, but other protesters showing up in support of our commander-in-chief. Watch this. She said, he's our president. Police making no arrests down there in Florida. And final security preparations being made ahead of this evening's Super Bowl. Black Hawk helicopters will patrol the skies, enforcing a 30-mile no-fly zone around the NRG Stadium in Houston. The NFL hiring 4,000 private security personnel to assist the more than 40 agencies that are working to try to keep all of the fans safe. Folks, I mean, you all know as well as I do, we got tons of security out here and lots of those canine patrols as well. And a college basketball team losing in heartbreaking fashion because their fans celebrated too early. St. Bonaventure nailing what appeared to be the game-winning shot with less than a second left on the clock, so the fans rushed the court. Watch.
Fans continue to roll out onto the floor, but I do not believe this game is yet final. 0 show on the clock.
Good luck telling these college kids on a Saturday. They think they got it done.
Oh no, those kids were so excited. There were still 4 seconds on the clock. The fans were charged with a technical foul. VCU would make its free throw to send the game into overtime then, where St. Bonaventure would eventually go on to lose the game. Sorry to hear about that. What a bummer. And those are your headlines.
Anything like that.
Yeah, it's
Never
fun, though,
seen
to
anything
run
like
down
that.
on the field or on the,
It was less than a second. What can you do in
4
0.4
seconds.
seconds?
4 seconds.
I think
Yeah.
it's 0.4 seconds.
Oh,
It was short. 4 seconds, 0.4 seconds, not much.
Yeah,
time.
0.4 seconds. Just goes to show you that students shouldn't be allowed at basketball games.
So they
That's what I get
stormed,
from
they stormed the court and they ended up losing the game?
They end up losing the game in overtime. Because they got a free throw, they hit the free throw, they force overtime.
What famous Fox News personality went to St. Bonaventure?
I don't know who.
Neil Cavuto.
Oh,
Really?
Just saying.
And he graduated because he's very small.
He says he does. Have
Right.
you ever seen paperwork?
Hey, if you've seen Neil Cavuto's paperwork, tweet us to make sure he graduated. Meanwhile, straight ahead.
Our supersized celebration continues from Tejas. Texas Congressman Pete Sessions is going to join us live in Houston. He's shaking some hands.
And we are all about football, by the way. Pete Hegseth, a massive Vikings fan, they didn't get in it, but he got to train with his favorite player, all-pro running back Adrian Peterson. You got to see this.
Well, this is a Fox News alert on this Sunday morning. Motion denied. Overnight, an appeals court out in California turning down the White House efforts to keep that temporary travel restriction in place. Texas Republican Congressman Pete Sessions has backed publicly the president's attempt to improve security, and he joins us right now live. So another court out this time in California says, okay, Mr. Trump, you can't have your restrictions on those people from 7 different countries.
If you listen to what the court said, they did not hit the essence of it, and that is America has a continuing dialogue about what is coming to this country, and it's the threat against this country, not what has already occurred. And the United States Congress and the last White House said these 7 countries have continuing efforts to bring people that would attack the United States. The court did not like that argument.
You know, but the Department of Justice appealed the ruling from the Judge Robards out in the great state of Wisconsin last night, and they made a great argument. You know, if you are not an American citizen, you're a foreign national, you do not have any rights under our Constitution, which is absolutely true.
May be true, but the way the president wrote the ban, it is to protect this nation.
Sure.
And that is what I think ultimately the Supreme Court's going to have to do. It's all political now.
It is all political. And what do you make of how the mainstream media has portrayed this as, you know, he's losing his grip on things and they're having a complete freak out?
Well,
but he's just following his what he promised on the campaign trail, isn't he?
Yes, that may be true, but he has the authority based upon the United States Congress and the previous administration. This court is simply political, and this is why we needed Donald Trump to fix the courts, too.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about a plan. It sounds like House Republicans, and you're one of them, could lift the ban on earmarks. And, of course, earmarks, you get some government money, you take it home to your home district, you build something to put people at work and stuff like that. Why would the Republicans want to lift the ban on earmarks?
Good question. Last week, Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House, asked me as chairman of the House Rules Committee for our committee to begin this process to look at what should be the correct way to handle congressionally authorized spending. For the last 6 years, the White House has spent all $18 billion themselves, which meant those agencies had sole discretion about how they would use all this $18 billion. It was not done properly. It put many projects on delay.
Right.
It put many on the burners that did not belong there on a priority basis. So we believe that there's a process. The Rules Committee will begin handling by the end of June the answer, a straw man, and then a piece of legislation. I think we can handle it.
Well, you know, there are various watchdog groups in Washington, D.C. that every year come out with a list of used to come out with a list of earmarks that are crazy, like the shrimp on a treadmill and stuff like that. Hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on projects that might put people to work in a certain member's district. But still, you know, America voted to drain the swamp, and they're worried about stuff like that.
Steve, they should be concerned about it, and that's why the Rules Committee is going to handle it. But the facts of the case are we're at 2008 spending levels in 2018. There's less money in the system to be able to do that with. So we're going to set priorities. I think you'll be pleased, and I look forward to coming back and give you an update.
Well, if you're going to spend more, does that mean you got to raise taxes?
No, we're going to spend more money wisely. We're still at 2008.
Wait, where'd that come from?
Well, we're 10 years. The money is 10 years ago.
Hey, good morning to you. Welcome back to Fox and Friends from Houston to some news by the numbers right now. It's a Super Bowl edition. First up, $14 billion. That's how much Americans will spend this year, as an estimated 189 million people will watch the Falcons take on the Patriots in the big game later today. Second, $4,000. That's the average price you would need to spend to get a last-minute ticket to the game on StubHub. And then third, $1.3 billion. That's how many chicken wings football fans will be chowing down on at the park parties. The kickoff begins at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And Steve, Brian, Ainsley, and I are all looking for the dishes that we're going to bring to pass around, right?
I know.
Need some pimento cheese, Ainsley.
That's right.
Pimento
From South
cheese, the
Carolina.
Rotel, and the beer.
Yep. That's right. It's got the Budweiser. We like
All right.
Budweiser.
And chili. You got to have chili.
Gotta have the chili.
Hello.
Right. And a little antacid right afterwards. Meanwhile, 7-time Pro Bowler Adrian Peterson, his fate for next season may be uncertain, but Vikings superfan Pete Hegseth is begging him to stay with Minnesota.
Pete, I understand you got a chance to sit down with your favorite
Yes.
player yesterday, but not before he put you to the test at his gym right here in Houston.
Oh, that's right. And that's why I can't sit down right now, because I'm so sore from that workout.
The second day's
It's
always
true.
worse.
Oh, it's going to get worse. It can only get worse. But Adrian Peterson, what a fantastic guy. Of course, I'm a super fan of the Minnesota Vikings. He lives here in Houston. He's a resident, and he's got a workout facility or a club called O Athletic, where he trains and trains others. So we thought, why not give it a shot? You know, there are 2 teams playing tonight, 30 teams in the offseason. What does an offseason workout look like for Adrian Peterson, and can I hang? Well, we'll let you see if I did. Take a look.
Come on. I'm doing well. It's a pleasure. I've been a lifelong Vikings fan. I'm sporting my tie right now. I hear you might be willing to put me through a little bit of a workout. Okay, so any tips here?
Don't fall.
Don't fall. Mark, you take You want to get as many as you can in 30 seconds.
Moving is life.
Oh, yeah, do that for me. Oh. I lost 2 by 1. I'm just going to hold it. Ah. That's what I got. Prove that I can do 2. Actually, I did 12. The first 10 were edited out. Holy cow.
Not feeling lightheaded, are you?
I am.
A little bit?
A little bit.
Feelings mutual.
So we got you worked out a little bit, too. How many years left does AP have in the NFL?
I would say 7, but you know, when I consider my family, I say 5.
5 to 7. And, you know, there's been a lot of talk. Rick Spielman recently said, we want AP to retire as a Viking. You've said those very same things. Is that your hope that you would retire as a Viking?
Yeah, that's my hope. You know, retire as a Viking. Hopefully we can work something out.
What are your goals for next season first, and goals for your career?
Well, you know, win a championship is the ultimate goal. What better than to win a championship in Minnesota, you know, staying at home, you know. So that's the ultimate goal. You know, a lot of people like to bottle you up. You know, they say, well, once you hit 30 as a running back, you know, that's something they've been preaching for years. So they bottle people up, and people are locked in their mind, and that's what they think. You know, in my mind, I think that, you know, all things are possible through Christ Jesus who strengthens me. And I'm just looking forward to accomplishing great things next year.
We've got a new president right now. Any thoughts on Donald Trump?
I'm very optimistic. I don't really, you know, I love some of his views. You know, he said a lot of great things. And of course, he appealed to the people. That's why he's the president now. So I always give people a chance.
As an all-time, long-time, lifetime Vikings fan, the ability to hand off to AP is kind of on the bucket list. Yep. Heard it. One of my favorite plays of all time. I was in the stands in Pittsburgh, 2009. Play action pass. Favre hits you over the middle, and you run over Willie Gay. I mean, not only did you run him over, but then, I don't know if you tried to, but you stepped on his chest, and then you ran for 30 more yards. I mean, every Vikings fan out there remembers that play. Now we're going to recreate it. Ready? Oh, yeah! I love it. Perfect. Outstanding. Outstanding.
You know, guys,
That was great.
I got to admit, I was geeking out. You know, I'm just a fan. I'm a groupie at the end of the day when it comes to the Vikings. And a chance to spend time with Adrian Peterson. It was very cool. Again, his gym is O Athletic, and they're having, if you're not going to watch it in the stadium tonight, you can go watch it with Adrian Peterson. They've got a viewing party on that very field tonight.
Fantastic.
Seems like such a nice guy.
He's a
All
really
right, yeah.
nice guy,
Pete?
down to earth. Good dude.
Indeed, and you're a good guy for doing that workout. Now go take 5 Advil, okay?
I will.
Oh, yeah, we got to thank somebody, though. Roll that back a second.
He did.
Yeah, we did?
He did.
Okay.
The gymnasium.
The athletic.
Yeah, that's the name of his gym.
great.
Oh,
Athletic.
Got to make sure.
Yeah, I
All
want to
right.
make sure.
Thank you, Pete.
All right. Thank you, Pete.
Pete came in for lunch yesterday, and he said, I was just with Adrian Peterson. I'm like, doing an interview? He said, no, I worked out with him. I'm dead. He was he almost physically fell asleep.
Well, you
at
know,
lunch.
I mean, because he's done 2 tours for our country. You know, if he's having a tough time, it's a hard workout.
Yeah,
the
he's
thing when they had to go back.
Yeah.
Backwards
He's in
up the
great
hill.
shape.
I know.
Absolutely.
All right, coming up. You ever wonder what a day in the life of the lone survivor is like, Mr. Marcus Luttrell? We went to his ranch about an hour away from Houston. We even got a shooting lesson, and he put me on one of his horses.
That is going to be great.
And that's his little girl. She softens him, his
Then
mom says.
leave it to Fox and Friends to fight an ice skating rink deep in the heart of Texas. Janice Jean just laced up and she's on ice.
You can do it, Janice.
The hilarity is about to ensue.
By the way, the coolest uniforms have to be in the league, along with being the best team in the league. Why did you go? How hard was it for you to go from playing to coaching?
Not really hard. I was always a player that was in the books. So when I had the opportunity to coach the kids and teach the game the right way to kids that are coming up, getting that foundation solid, man, it wasn't that hard.
Right.
Yeah.
See, and soccer, when I was with the, I'll use a microphone that works. When in soccer, they even told me, don't even keep standings at 7, 8 years old. How do you feel about that?
Nah, I definitely don't agree with that, man. I think that what they do, the competition is kind of drives them for when they get older. The world that we live in, it's a competitive league, a competitive world, and we want them to already get that down packed from right now.
From the highest level to the lowest level, so the football's changing the way they do things to make it safer. So can you show me how you tell the kids to tackle and have impact these days? First, can you show me the wrong way, the way you were taught?
All right, right here, guys. The worst position that we ever get in on the defensive side in tackling is a head down. We never want to go helmet to helmet. We never want to put our helmet here. We never want to be looking down and leaving our arms back. This is the absolute wrong way to tackle.
Okay.
All right.
Now show me the right way you teach the kids now.
All right. Right here. This is what we do. We all get USA Heads Up certified. So the thing we want to do, we want to always keep our head up, keep your head out of the middle of the player, here to the side. With the concussion thing going on, we want to make sure that
head to the side.
Head to the side. All right.
Right.
So we here. Shoot your hands. Boom. Eyes always up.
All right. So let's see real speed, but stop at impact.
All right.
Okay. Let's go.
Here, you two right here. You're tackling. You're on offense. Dylan, you're on offense.
Okay.
Here. Right here. Okay. Full speed. Let's go.
Just stop at impact.
Don't take him to the ground. Low. All right. Let's go. Ball in his hand. Set. Go. Right
there you go.
That's it.
And
Good.
that's where you want them to tackle. And that's what you wish you were taught when you were growing up.
Absolutely. We never had the opportunity to do that. We just hit them hard, get them on the ground.
Some things, are you worried about your sport when they keep saying that it's too dangerous for kids to play?
I'm not worried. I'm not worried because it takes people who know what's going on, people that are experienced and are willing to teach the game the right way. And it's not all about winning and losses when it comes to football at this age. So.
Right. Talks about courage and being a teammate, and they're very lucky to have you, Spencer, there. And so special thanks to the Seahawks for coming out and working out with us for the next 2 hours. Thanks a lot, Coach. Hey, meanwhile, back up to the big stage where it's relatively dry. Oh, excuse me. Over to Heather where it's not.
All right. Yes, good morning. Good morning to all of you. A couple quick headlines to bring you right now. A 6th grader attacked on his school bus just for wearing a Make America Great Again hat. Watch this.
You want to build a wall? You want to build
Oh, goodness. Well, classmates shoving that Missouri boy into the window and then yelling at him about President Trump's plans to build a wall. His mom upset over that event. The school saying the students responsible have faced, quote, consequences. We'll keep you posted if we have any updates on that young man's story. Well, one of President Trump's biggest critics calling on Democrats to fight. In a speech to liberals in Baltimore, a city where anti-police riots broke out for weeks, the Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren saying, quote, far too often, Democrats have been unwilling to get out there and fight. That ends today. It's time for Democrats to grow a backbone and to get out there and fight. And then Matthew Slater of the New England Patriots has something to celebrate ahead of the big game tonight. The wide receiver honored at the annual Super Bowl breakfast, winning this year's Bart Starr Award.
I'd like to thank Bart Starr Jr. and your family for this tremendous honor. My family and I are so humbled by this.
Well, the award given to the player who best exemplifies outstanding character and leadership. Slater's father won the same award back in 1996. Congratulations to him. What an honor. And those are your headlines. Let's hand it out to Janice Dean, where we've got a little rain coming in. Hi there, Janice.
We do have rain. Heather, my apologies for that on behalf of all the weathercasters here in Houston, Texas. We're going to see rain on and off today for Super Bowl Sunday, and I am on an ice rink, and I am steadying myself next to Keith and Kathy here. Hi, Keith. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you this morning?
You're with Ice Rink Events.
That's correct.
Tell me about your events.
Oh, man, we are located all over the country. Do events in New York, all the way to San Diego, Seattle, back to Miami.
In New York?
In New York.
Where are you in New York?
We put the rink in at Bryant Park, and then we do a bunch of other rinks like Peter Cooper Village, which is a private rink for the locals, and then we also have one over in Newport News, New Jersey.
Fantastic, and you are right here in the midst of everything.
We are, and we're fighting the Houston weather today as we do all the time. You know, it's a beautiful day today.
At least it's not 40 degrees.
Well, you know, at least it wouldn't be so warm.
Well, here's what I love is that this is real ice. There's a lot of rinks out there that use sort of synthetic ice.
That's correct. In this floor here, we have 14 miles of tubing. We keep the coolant in the floor at right around 5 degrees here, and it helps us keep ice all season long.
How many visitors do you have coming to IceGate?
Somewhere between 40 and 50,000.
That's amazing. Any celebrities that you can tell us about that have come to IceGate?
Well, we like to keep that under wraps if somebody wants to come through.
Come on, I won't tell anybody.
Off the top of my head, I'm drawing a blank.
That's all right. We'll let you think about that. Kathy, come over here real quick. You are part of this wonderful dance team.
Yes, this morning we have the Houston Stars Theater and Ice, and they are the two-time national champs. They're going back to the competition this April and June, and they're coming out here to skate for you guys today.
This is wonderful. Can someone reteach me how to skate? I think I haven't been on skates for 20 years now.
Oh my goodness. Well, we can certainly do that if you're looking for some lessons. Let us know. Of course, we're wrapping up. Today is our final day here, so maybe next time.
Okay, well, maybe I'll just hold on to you and you walk and I'll just like trail like a train. How's that? All right, Keith, Kathy, thank you so much. Thank you, ice skaters, for making me look good. All right, back over to Steve, Ainsley, and Brian. Come on, enjoy me. Strap on some skates.
Sure, why not?
Strap on.
I love the fact, Janice, that maybe that, on TV, when you ask for a little lesson, you want a little lesson. So
What did
you just go,
say?
no.
No. Janice, step one, take off the bathroom.
If you want to see that, hold on a second.
All right, let's see it. Come on, she's Canadian.
You can do it. You know how to do it.
She's Canadian.
Push her.
Oh, boy, you got to skate. You come out of the womb skating.
She's wearing a bathrobe.
She is wearing a bathrobe.
That's very good.
Reminds me of Dorothy Hamill in the 70s.
I don't know why there are bathrobes placed around the set, and I've seen like 3 girls in them because it was so cold over the last few days, and Janice is wearing one
Because
on air.
we are wearing the same thing people are at home.
Right.
You're wearing
That's
jammies.
right. We're one of you.
And that's why I urge you every day to get dressed. Right? By the end of the show, you must be dressed, and I'm going to check.
All right, coming up
All right.
next on the Rundown.
All right, we know him as the lone survivor. That's the title of his book and the movie, and retired Navy SEAL. But here in Texas, Marcus Luttrell is better known, believe it or not, as a family man.
So what does Marcus Luttrell do when he's not being an American hero? I guess he always is an American hero, though, right? We had an opportunity to go out to his ranch, which is about an hour outside of Houston. So watch this.
Ladies first. Pecking order around here. You got to know that I wake up every morning and have the greatest day of my life. I mean, I have no pain. I move around, and it's fantastic. I just love life. My brother came up with the idea of being a Navy SEAL, and I mean, he's the older brother. He's the alpha of the two of us, and he kind of
He's the older brother by how many minutes?
7. So he's like, we're going to be SEALs. I was like, let's do it. What is that? You know, I had no idea.
All right, so then how did you and your brother decide you wanted to fight for this country?
Well, it's family tradition. You can track it back in our family a long way, and it's not a mandatory thing. It's just you hear all the stories about it, and it's just, our family's that way, real patriotic, and that's just kind of how it is.
They grew up knowing how to work. They knew how to work when they were small children.
And you said that's how it got you through when your boys were fighting overseas.
Yes. It's the only way I got through all those deployments was to put my head down first thing in the morning, go to work, and work until I dropped into bed at night, not think.
What was that like as a mother?
It was hell. It was hell. And then when he was lost, was the worst. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
Everything that I had been through in the past, all that bad stuff, I don't look at it that way because that was my job. That was my responsibility as an American. I mean, I wanted to do it. I grew up on a horse ranch, and my mother would never let me get away from it.
Okay, you ready? 1, 2, 3. Thanks, Marcus. Okay.
Just shift your hands just a little bit, tap him like that, and he'll go like a car.
Marcus, how many horses did you have growing up?
We had 250 head on the ranch, and then my brother and I each got to pick our own horse when we were in 4th grade, I think.
Now we're gonna go do a little shooting.
Yeah, you're getting full family benefits, I guess.
Is this where you always do your shooting out here?
I do. Here's what we're gonna do. Get in there, good stance. All right, pull it in, just get comfortable. Don't be afraid.
Yep.
Grip good, good base, good stance.
You ready?
There you go. Weapons on fire.
Yep.
Finger in the trigger well.
Okay.
Pull when ready. Boom. Both eyes open. A little bit low. Good. Good.
You bought the ranch where you just like, we want to have a great place for the kids to grow up. We want fishing and we want the horses, we want animals, we want a nice house.
What you'll see out here, if you had a chance, is things I've seen throughout my life in places that were beautiful, and like this old pond was stuck back in a hollow somewhere where I used to go fishing with my brother. That's what this is.
Try to just create our own little haven out here.
What do you love most about her?
She points me in the direction I need to go, and I'll go.
What do you love about him?
Everything. I love his confidence. I love how caring he is. A lot of people look at him as this big badass, and I see a teddy bear.
She sees a teddy bear. They are such an amazing couple.
That's
And
great.
Melanie, my word, God put them together. They are such an amazing couple and team together. She's helped him through so much. And he's had lots of surgeries because he fought for our country, so many deployments, and an amazing American hero. And I said, Marcus, what is it like? How does an American hero live when we first got onto the ranch? And he said, here on my ranch, I'm not an American hero. My name is Marcus.
That's
He's
great.
very humble.
He is indeed.
Their kids are so precious, and they've opened up their home to so many different people. Any Navy SEAL that's gone through what he's gone through or experienced, being deployed overseas, he welcomes them onto his property, and he says, come stay for 2 weeks, come stay for however long you want. Rick
great.
Perry took him in at the governor's mansion.
He did.
Helped him turn his life around when he was going through some really hard times. And then he moved from the governor's mansion in with Melanie. He met Melanie on a blind date, and he said, I'm going to marry you. And the next day they moved in together, and it's
Rest is
bliss.
history.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything without checking with her first.
They are an amazing.
He is a smart man.
And I did say, we didn't have enough time for it because there were so many great bites, but I did say, what do you love about her? You saw one little clip. He said, how much time do you have? And he went
Oh, that's
on
great.
and on and on about all the great things about her.